Welcome to Pog or Dog with your host, Just Russ. Joining him tonight, we have Cram the Horse, Cyclops, and for his first appearance, Actuality. Welcome to Pog or Dog with your host, Just Russ. Joining him tonight, we have Cram the Horse, Cyclops, and for his first appearance, Actuality.
All right, welcome to the podcast, episode 22. Oh my God, we are 4 weeks away from half a year. We've actually somehow stuck with it. 22. Oh my God. Wait, who's listening to the podcast? I can hear it back. Ack, is that you?
Don't worry about it.
Him.
Don't worry about it. Okay.
Ack, this is your first appearance. How are you feeling?
It is my
no.
first appearance. No,
I mean,
I'm fucking it all up, guys. I'm already messing it all up on my first appearance on the podcast ever.
I think it's funny that this, in some ways, it's a joke, Cram saying, but in some ways, it's kind of true. We barely saw you on the first podcast. We saw a swamp creature formerly known as Actuality.
I've come into the light today.
Uh-huh. I like it, dude. I like it. All right, so
He's
chat
lost his green hue.
today. I mean, you're already familiar with everybody here. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. We're just going to be talking today about generational differences. We're going to talk about growing up, what it was like for the Zoomer, Cram, and what it was like for the Millennials. I would say, you guys would be like middle of the line Millennials, right? Like pretty much right square in the middle of the gen. And just kind of getting like everyone's different like perspectives, experiences. So I guess we're just here to figure that all out. Opening question for you guys. Do you think Millennials and Gen Z are really that different? And why?
I don't think they're
that's
that
tough.
different per se. I just think they grew up on like slightly different things.
Typical
They're both,
Zoomer
They're
take.
both like cringe about stuff.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say that human beings are cringe about stuff. I don't think it matters what generation they're from. They're just kind of all terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the real take. I know my takes are cold, boys, but that's all I've got. That's all I've got. I don't think our generations are that different. Cyclops and I remember before the internet. That's the real difference. I think that is a defining element.
Correct. I think we witnessed the evolution of technology at an insane rate, so our brains are just scrambled a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean,
We
I
witnessed
spawned
the
in
fall
the
of
internet.
mankind.
I spawned there.
Yeah, Sean, or not. Oh God, I called you Sean. Cram is a creature of the internet. And honestly,
he's a
like,
creature of the internet. He couldn't have lived without it. And we had pre-internet times, or times where if someone was on the phone, you couldn't use the internet. You guys don't know how good you have it.
I actually did use dial-up for a decent, like, few months, but never in the way you guys did. Never the same way.
Months, Cyclops. You hear him say a few months that he had to use
Oh,
dial-up?
jeez.
Oh,
And
my
it's crazy
God.
because, like, I remember waiting for images to load on the internet. You had to, like, watch them be created pixel by pixel, formed, and storage. It was like, I remember trying to build computers back in the day when I was like a younger kid, and it was like 100 gig hard drive was like $500. Like the evolution of technology is just crazy, and I think we have a lot of differences in terms of like viewing technology. I guess I think it's like a blessing, whereas I feel like Zoomer kids are kind of jaded. They're walking around like zombies. I mean, I'm not super attached to my phone. I know there's a lot of millennials that are, but I'm personally not. I just don't really care about it. And I think that's a big difference I see is like the obsession with the phone. I don't care about phones, dude. Phones or whatever.
That's fair.
You can't look at your phone if you're updating your Twitch overlay every 5 minutes. There's no time.
Dude,
There's no time to use a phone, son.
Speaking of that, I felt so bad because he was like trying to get an Evil Dead, whatever the game is. He was like doing this countdown, and I was just sitting at work trying to watch. I kid you not, I was in that waiting room for like 20, 25 minutes, and I keep saying like, "Donde streamer? Where is he? I miss him." And I kept making jokes like, "Hey, this is nice, like listening to Spotify and all, but can we get some content?" And he's just like, "Hey guys, I know what could fix it." And I was like, "Oh, he's gonna fix it," and then he just ends stream. And I'm like, "Oh."
And I said, "No waiting room, 5head." No, it's because it was when we were trying to create invites. It was before when we were waiting for certain people to finish the tutorial. So I started on time, but everybody else was late. So I was actually an alpha gamer ready to play. Funnily enough, if I had started streaming right at 1, I still would have encountered all the myriad of issues I ran into later, and the stream would have crashed regardless. So it's L's all around for me, dude. It's all good. No offense taken. I thought it was funny.
He sent Cyclops FU viewers, and I was like, "Wow, that hit."
Yeah, I did. I hit him with a few viewers.
What were you saying, Ak?
Cyclops was on time to that event, unlike everybody else who was busy doing the tutorial, which I did, judiciously inform them they had to complete before they could join a lobby, so they knew well in advance. So honestly, that was just, and it was a Gen Zer that didn't complete the tutorial. Let's just talk about that for a minute. We might have gotten to the root of the issue here, not to name names or call anyone out.
Yeah, I think I've realized how this is gonna go.
It's gonna go.
I'm regretting appearing here, actually.
Oh, you're safe.
Terrible.
Gen Zer.
Yeah,
The vile creature.
yeah, you make me sick.
Nah, Zoomers are fine, dude. They got some good stuff. I think that Zoomers. I grew up where it was like funny or cool to say edgy stuff, and I feel like if you tried that now, edgy, unfunny stuff. I think everybody was saying edgy, unfunny stuff when they were kids, and now if you try to do that, I think Zoomers will just kind of be like, "That's not cool." So I respect that aspect. That's kind of cool because people were spewing some hateful shit. I remember hearing people say like slurs connect, like pure combos of slurs back to back, and they thought it was funny. And it's just, it never was, but I don't think that flies anymore. So in that regard, it's good, but I don't know.
You definitely can't multi-hit slurs anymore.
You can't multi-hit the slur, yeah. That's a good thing. That's a good thing Zoomers are doing.
Yeah, I remember. I was kind of at the tail end where like every year we lost a word, man. Every year I was like, okay, like I could not say that word anymore. I'll be honest, some of them are more fun to say than others, and it's funny how like I'll be at work sometimes and one of like my bosses just whips it out casually, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot, like that was me, dude. Except
it's a generational thing too. Like boomers will straight up just say it, dude.
They don't give a
dude.
fuck.
Honestly, it's kind of based. But like
shameless.
And they don't even think it's like wrong too. They're just like, "What do you mean?" Like, what? Like it's.
They're like, "Come on,
it's too based." They're like,
I mean, you're being
like,
one.
Vietnam War slurs. No, they're dropping like I don't know, dude. It's crazy, dude. I've heard people say insane, vile shit, and it doesn't offend me, really. Honestly, I just feel bad for people whose feelings it does hurt. But there's very little. I grew up. Speaking of back to the internet thing, I grew up on the internet playing multiplayer games very young, so I heard everything you could possibly call someone. So there's very few things you can say to me that would make me worried. But I feel bad for people who do care. I don't want them to have to deal with it, but it is what it is.
Justin, did I tell you about the time I was playing VR chess with a boomer?
No. Oh wait. No. You did, but like I don't remember exactly.
He
said
something. Right here. 40-year-old guy. I think it was 40 to 50.
Okay, and he's
like,
playing on VR.
It's like a random lobby chess game in VR.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just playing, and like he's better than me, so I'm like, hey, what can I do here? We're like talking, and I'm like learning how to play better. And then he's like, oh, that was a bad move. That is a move that is sand full hard R's.
No.
And then goes on a spiel of bigotry.
Yikes.
Pure bigotry. And I'm just like sitting here because like I'm like what the fuck? But I'm like also kind of laughing.
Like,
yeah,
how's that relevant?
Objection relevance for real. And then he'd be like interrupt his rant of bigotry with like, oh, by the E6 here is actually not that good because mid chess game. I'm like, oh my god.
Did this gentleman happen to mention having a tape deck installed on his wall by chance?
No.
He didn't.
They
Okay.
use U-Haul cardboard as curtains.
Yeah.
Oh my
All right, let's get to
god.
the next
That's a deep
topic.
cut.
What's
No,
the next question.
I mean, I was gonna say.
Next question, please. As a
Okay.
millennial, I like to keep things moving. I like to keep things on schedule, on target.
All
Wait,
right,
now
I'm-
that
I'm
we've
sorry,
got,
I'm
now that
sorry.
we're next
Guys.
questioning, can we actually skip that question? Because as a Gen Z, I like
Do your
variety and constant.
Okay, can I just say, building off what Cram said and kind of what we were talking about before, like I don't know about you guys, but like my grandfather was like super racist. My dad was like that, like Gen X racist, where like everything's a joke, but like it's all racism underneath the joke. You know, it's like he'll like do like an accent here or there, or assume, ha ha ha, it's this guy. He's gonna do this. And I think like when I went to college, they're like we like learned about microaggressions, and then I just learned like, wow, I am surrounded by people that make these jokes all the time. I never knew this would be offensive to somebody else because it's just so common. So I don't know, like when did you guys have like your moment of like clarity where people were just like, hey dude, that's not chill. And then you're like, huh, that isn't chill.
I want to say people didn't really start acting like civil in that way until probably like, honestly, probably like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, it was. That's
I
what it
think
felt like
prior
to
to
me.
that-
Yeah.
Like before that, certain stuff would just fly. I guess it kind of started to turn earlier than that, but it didn't really take a head until probably around that time. And I don't know what started it, but that's what I noticed at least.
Yeah, 2015, 2014 is definitely when I heard the term microaggression for the first time, probably
Yeah.
something like that, or like those. And then they got into it where it's like very complicated words that I don't even understand, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I will say is, have you seen like all those studies where it it compares the generations and how like as time goes on, like we have older and older virgins. Like Gen Z is like the most virgin generation. And like they're just like they're playing like on technology like way more, and how like they're kind of related in a way. Like if you're getting
love
pleasure and dopamine from screens, you're not like getting dopamine from like a person.
Thank God I
That's
have that
real.
excuse.
So I mean,
That's
in some
real, but
I
in
just
some
love
ways,
that you're
like there
taking-
is a difference.
You're taking any excuse to just call Cram bitchless.
I'm not
Dude,
saying
All I'm
that,
saying,
dude.
dude, is you can talk to me about being a virgin and all, but what level is your town hall? Like, not as high as mine. That's
True.
what I know.
Here's what I will
many-
say. I remember growing up, people were always like, "Oh, like you cannot have sex until like 20." And then you find out like the generation before us was having like sex at like 13, 12, and you're like, "Wait,
Nah,
what?"
yeah. Everyone was having sex at like 14, 15. It was really weird.
Yeah, like
That
I
was
don't
weird
know.
for me even.
I thought people like have like in my gen, we kind of like just like outright shamed people who were having sex that early. Like, whoa, what are you doing? What a bad choice.
Yeah, I did not have sex that early as a choice.
True. I think it's people are just more educated about how awful of a decision that is. I think it's kind of like hammered into your head, like because of the way that inflation works and how the economy currently works. If you have a kid at 15, that's like almost like a death sentence for you financially. You're just you're
That's
done.
true. That's really true.
You're done. So I think
true.
that kind of got hammered through for people, because before, I swear to God, people were having 4 kids at 12 years old, going off to the war, coming home. They have like a high school diploma. They get a job, buy a house with that money. Like
That's actually crazy that you say that, because my dad got married and got a girl pregnant at 18, and was fought in some war or something. Like
it's not possible to do stuff like that anymore. If you try to do that, you'll just like end up penniless, like crying in an alleyway with
actually maidenless.
So you think it's
fentanyl in your veins.
do you think it's less of technology and more about like economics, or what, or do you think it's just a
It's
factor
both.
of both? Yeah.
I think it's definitely both. I think technology is a huge factor because I mean, who needs bitches when you have like mad rune skimmies?
I remember like
let me
boomers would
in here a
complain.
moment,
Oh yeah, sure. Go.
please. It's very simple distinction between technology versus not technology. Back in my day, in Cyclops' day, if we wanted to have fun, we had to go through the mystical portal of our door out into the world, and the odds of having sex out there is substantially higher than having sex in your computer room. Like at your computer. So I think that statistically, it literally just put us at a disadvantage on that front. We were in a scenario where it was hard to avoid having sex, honestly. I mean, look at us. But anyway, that's my
I mean, I
take
can
on
definitely
that.
see how you two found it hard to avoid having sex. I can definitely see that because you guys
It's
are good
tough,
with
man.
chats.
You just gotta you gotta like swat the ladies off.
Yeah,
dude.
you're like shoo, get away, please.
When they see this,
Not all
when
at
they see
once.
this stream overlay, dude. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
They're like,
man.
dude, this guy got red neon everywhere.
everywhere.
Oh my god. Wait, so here's the thing. I kind of had like some thoughts going in of like how this conversation would play out, and the fact that like not anywhere on this outline does like economics play a role. I would have never even thought about that. So that's totally like sick that you added that like level to the conversation. Remember like a lot of like millennials would complain about like college debt or college tuition rising and college debt being a factor. And then boomers are all like, "Oh, dude, you guys aren't working hard enough. You're lazy."
Just
like
work,
it was
forehead.
Oh,
it was
dude, I always found
hard
that
on
so
us
funny when they
too.
said that, dude.
And then it's just like, and then now like millennials are like starting to raise kids and they're like, "Yeah, this needs to be fixed. Like I'm not sending my kids to college if like it's still like this."
Dude, can you
This
really?
is literally classic. We have to clean up the mess that they like put a bunch of like lead into the atmosphere with their leaded gas and ruin the economy and cause the housing bubble to crash and all this crazy shit. They basically ruin the entire world, and now they're just like, now it's time for
It's like
the other generations to try to make things work.
We'll be 6 feet under. We don't care.
And those are the people making the rules. Those are the people writing things into law, unfortunately.
I just find it crazy how like a boomer will like talk down to you for not having a job, but like in their day they could get a high-paying 6-figure salary by having the best handshake out of every one of their coworkers. They just had to give a firm handshake and a smile, and they got the job. It's so much more competitive nowadays.
Yeah, you used to just be able to get like a electrician, plumbing, stuff like that. Go ahead, Ak.
I think that on the economic front, we've definitely experienced very different worlds. Like I feel like growing up, the dream that we were sold by our parents was like, go to college, get a job, find a girl, marry the girl, have a kid, have a car, and whatever. And then when we couldn't do that because the world was not in a structural way that we could do the same thing our parents did, they were like fractured with how to like understand that. They like thought it was like some great failing of ours, or they like blamed themselves, but it was never like, oh, the world is just a different shape than it was in my day. It was a big, I feel like we dealt with a lot of friction, at least in my personal experience. I don't want to put words in Cyclops' experience, but there's a lot of like that like notion of success being written into this, like if you're not retiring at like 50 or 60 after working like a successful job that made enough money that like only one of the two parents had to work, like that kind of shit.
Correct.
Like doesn't exist anymore, man.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't get off one wage, even with good jobs, is not enough. Before, someone could like work in like a steel mill and they had a stay-at-home mom. That's not an option. If you work in a steel mill, your wife needs to be like a physics
doctor.
major with
Yeah.
exactly. Like you need to be like making 6 figures with her income in order to like be able to like sustain that. It's actually like so fucked. Inflation's so fucked, and it's I think it's a big factor on forming the pessimistic views of our generation, and hopefully more optimistic Zoomers who will maybe be able to recover once we fix a couple things that seemed unfixable. But the future's looking bright with those things, honestly.
Thank you, Nacho, for the reminder.
That is such a good
making
comment.
good points.
That is such a good
Making
comment.
as always.
Um,
What's up, Nacho?
Remember, guys, many serial killers. Leading with that, you know it's gonna be based.
Yeah, they had the side hustle of just
My boy
cutting up
Nacho.
children. Yeah,
Yeah, that's their
crazy.
side. That's their side. Oh, yeah, selling
That's
the
sick.
organs?
There's actually, and that brings up my previous point, the whole lead in the atmosphere thing. There was a whole generation where they were breathing in lead and lowering their IQ in mass. And there's an argument that that's
So
why
true.
there was so many serial killers during the 70s and 80s, because people were actually dumber. Like they had primal, like murderous impulses because they were breathing in.
I thought a lot of serial
Lead.
killers were like 5 heads, though.
Not really. There's a lot of serial killers that aren't 5 heads, but
Oh.
It just wasn't the
it was so
technology.
easy.
I don't know if we should really be
It's
giving him
like-
props.
Could
No,
be
it's
a
not a
serial
prop.
killer.
so easy to kill back then.
It's not really a prop. I'm
This
just
is-
saying.
this is- This
You know
is
how
what
it used to be,
soap opera I've
dude?
been living to talk about for so long.
Oh, dude, I love serial killers so much. You know what you needed to do to get away with killing before? You just killed, and then if no one saw you actively kill and you went across state lines, you got away with it.
Yeah, dude, you got away, man. That
Literally,
was-
you just walk away, and then you
walk
you
away.
literally get away. You
like
get
you
away
could
with murder.
literally kill someone, spit on their dead body, and leave. And you just
Zodiac
be
killer?
completely fine.
The thing with that, Roach, is if the Zodiac killer killed today, he would get caught immediately because you can literally track everything, and there'd
Oh,
be
for
like
sure.
some U.S.
Right.
drone
His
face
mail
with
would've been
facial
tweets.
recognition.
It would have been tweets instead of like handwritten mail. Like, he would have tweeted at someone.
Aren't there?
like, "Here's
Isn't
my
that actually
cipher."
like a thing though, where
Match
people
me.
have like
No, the Zodiac
tweeted their
killer is
crimes?
the Zodiac killer's not. The Zodiac killer is a product of his time. The Zodiac killer would have been
Roach,
caught today.
stop, please.
Anyway,
You're right, though, Roach. He was doing a great job.
Yeah, he's too genius. You're right.
also, millennials started a trend based on economics as well about like staying at home longer. Like instead of like leaving the house at 18, 19, like staying with their family, you know, usually up until like 27 on average. Or I think like the soonest people would leave is like 24, just because like you go to college, you get hit with student loans, and you're like, well, I can't do student loans and get up my own place and my own car and my own health insurance. So then you just kind of have like a situation where people are, I don't know if the word's like more grounded, more restricted, but just like staying at home too. But serial killers, no, come on, man. Like, yeah, drone strikes. I agree.
Oh, the BTK thing is actually hilarious because Nacho Egg is
BTK
saying
is-
that he got turned in by a floppy disk. That's actually true. He put a newspaper out. He's like, "Hey, if I turn in a floppy disk, can you guys like track me? Can you guys like figure out where like what computer I'm using and shit?" And the FBI was like, "No." So he
No, we
just
can't.
sent it in, and then
Then
he
they
got
tracked him.
fucking. They found him. Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
fucking funny.
Yeah, there's a bunch of zero head serial killers who are very like narcissistic, so they think they're just like above everyone else, like they're this god, this demigod watching over a bunch of ants. But most of them are not too bright because their emotions cause them to kill other people who don't deserve it. So that's
Yeah,
that's
I
a
mean-
very weak-minded thing to do.
So
Actually.
anyway, what toys did you guys play with?
Yeah,
growing up?
toys. Going on to toys.
I love. When I make a podcast with you, I need to not have an outline. You're like too married to it.
Look, let's stick to the
You
outline.
love the outline.
No, I like
get back
this
on the
outline though. No, I do like this outline.
Toys. So Soclops was playing with his human dolls, is what we're hearing.
No, like literally, Ack last time was like so
Up tier.
candy, and I'm like, dude, this
Well,
guy.
to be fair, you were talking about fucking melee, which is even worse than serial killers. I'd rather.
Correct.
You literally said you're a melee fan, my guy. Anyway, whatever. What
That was a
toys?
joke. That was a hilarious joke to anyone
Ack.
who knows me.
Ack, kick us off. What toys did
What
you
toys?
play with?
Well, I played with dirt mostly. I don't know.
Jesus, what is
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
with
yeah.
you?
We're talking like when we were like really little, because when I was really little, I had like a Tonka truck and like a yard. That was my
Listen.
toy.
Hey, Tonka trucks go hard, man.
I mean, that's true, but like, the earliest like shit I remember like being like obsessed with was like Mighty Max, which are these little like Polly Pocket type things for boys. You guys aren't gonna know what any of that shit is.
I have
Like,
no
this
fucking
little,
clue
I know what
that
that is. I
like,
know
it
what
was
that
like
is.
this little fucking thing. Like it would look like a zombie hand or like a cobra, and it would open up and you'd have little like things that you move around inside them. They were empirically not fun to play with, but they were like fun to like lust after at the grocery store when your mom and dad were like grocery shopping, and you're like, "Can I get a toy if I like behave myself?" Like, because that was how our parents used to like keep us in line. They're like, "Look, if you're good,
Yeah.
I'll buy you a $5 Mighty Max fucking thing. Like, just chill." But like I played that, and then like as I got older, like the only thing I played with was like a soccer ball and Magic the Gathering cards. That was my life. I would ride my bicycle around the neighborhood and see who was home, and whoever was home, whatever toys they had, I would play with. My parents wouldn't buy me video games. I didn't have a gaming system until I was like a grown ass like adult.
Same.
So like I could buy my own shit. So like when I was a kid, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna be the devil's gonna get in you," and I mean it did, but not as early.
Jeez, this was way into me too, dude. This was
Bruh,
way
so
into
I had
me.
to go
Shit.
across the street. Shout out to
Unlucky.
Nate Weaver. Shout out to Nate Weaver, my older neighbor, who was like, "Yo,
That's
you
the
wanna play
homie, dude.
N64? Just stop by. Just
Same.
do whatever you want."
You had an N64, dude.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did too.
Hell yeah, bro. We had the hookup.
I had the N64 brother
He's like,
that I'd
"Don't
walk over to
fuck up
Cellphones.
don't fuck up my Mario saves. You can do whatever you want."
We had no save, so we had to play, and if we shut off the console, we lost our progress. We had no
Oh,
save
no.
cartridge.
Oh,
It was L's all around.
So you started
but-
speedrunning.
Yeah, true.
You're
I mean,
the mother of speedrunning.
Yeah, that's origins. That's Cyclops origins. But I will say S tier toys growing up, if we're talking about like base toys, Lincoln Logs. Dude.
I played
Oh
with
my
those.
god, what are you guys, architects, dude? S tier toy? There is
Lincoln
nothing
Logs-
better than Beyblades. There is just no toy that gives you the
I
satisfaction.
actually had
Beyblade.
Beyblades. I actually had Beyblades because Beyblades were like a
I
thing. And
still
I was like,
have Beyblades. I still
course you do.
play with them.
of course, I can just picture him hunched over. He's got his little ice arena.
Dude, I do.
I know you do. I
He's
know
so
you do.
fired up.
I have a
It's
hard
too
read on it,
much.
Cram. But listen, bud. Lincoln Logs
my
were
arena?
like an. Wait, hold on. I'm on a delay.
I hate you. Put this away. It looks like a fucking commode.
The fact your arena is within arm's reach. Someone send him help.
Yeah, because I have to play.
I will say that like baseline toys, Lincoln Logs, stuff like I mean I had Beyblades, but that was later. We had to play outside a lot. We played Manhunt in the neighborhood. We ran in the woods, through people's yards and made them very angry at us, and played freeze tag at the playground and shit like that.
How did you make money back then? Because I had to make my own money when I was a kid, right? We had to like make money if we wanted shit. So like you had to make sure you didn't piss off the cool neighbors who would pay you to like mow their lawn, even though their lawn was like not even the size of like this room I'm in right now. Like those were the cool neighbors, right? Like, here's $20 if you mow my lawn. And like,
Jesus, 20? That's a
didn't do more
lot
than
for
that.
back
Money,
then.
dude.
Dude,
I
that's
was
like getting
halfway to an N64 cartridge,
That's
baby.
like- that's like-
that shit cost shitloads of money back
Dude,
then. What are
you-
talking
Yeah.
you getting $20 for mowing a lawn is like someone handing Cram $100 for taking out the trash. What the fuck?
It's not entirely true.
I
in
mean,
the
if you
entertainment
adjust for
and toy department.
inflation, that's probably around the.
No.
Listen,
Nintendo
did you
has
know
always
that
been pretty
happened
much
to
the
me?
same exact prices. Back then,
Yeah.
maybe even more expensive to buy an N64
They
game. Because
they
it was
were like
they were
$70.
They were expensive, dude. You had to save up
Like $70
$70
in
to buy
90s
Star
money
Fox.
for some
Right.
reason.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like.
they actually
Inflation.
were. I
One thing
remember.
that was immune to inflation was the video game industry, especially back then.
Well, that's why they
Yeah,
had
they
to
thought
come
the
up with.
technology was so sick.
That's why they had to
It
come out
wasn't.
with fucking microtransactions, because like they're just keeping the price of games the same, but they're not making any more money for making better products. So that's why, like,
it doesn't really matter because it's not like a physical thing.
Yeah.
So games will cost different amounts of money to actually make. So it's like
we all had
Tech
Lincoln
is
Logs
insanely cheap now.
because
Lincoln
our
Logs
parents
are
didn't want
sick.
to buy us toys. They were just
T.
like, here's these toys I had when I was a kid. Enjoy them.
Yeah.
T-
Correct.
Like
And
hand-me-down shit.
that was
And we were
actually me, though. Oh my god.
Nacho Egg is right with that Kinect's working. I had a giant solar powered Kinect's Ferris wheel. You had to build the entire thing, and if you
what are connects?
held the solar panel under light, it would make the Ferris wheel actually turn with a motor. It was actually
wreck
lit.
If you saw one.
That's some nerdy shit,
Were they,
but
like,
that's what people had. No. They
Oh.
would snap together. They were little plastic pieces that would snap together. They were super, super cool.
I don't remember.
My brother was the Connect guy. See, my brother did all the science and like thinking, like building shit. He was the Lincoln Log guy. He was the Connects guy. He was the Lego guy, right? I was the kid who was reading books and losing my virginity, right? That's what I was doing.
I fuck with Legos, but I'm not really a
It's
thinking
fucking reading.
man.
Yeah, it sounds like Connects was like I feel like I'm kind of in the middle of you guys. Connects, I had the equivalent. I was like Magnetics, which is probably made by the same company. It's the same
It
concept.
is probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
probably
a
is, yeah.
magnet
I know what
version
you're
of
talking
what you're saying. But I think for my generation, I think Thomas the Train, right? That's like the I had Lincoln Logs 2 in my Thomas the Train set, but like how kids did like creativity at that age was having like you build a track and then you just watch your little like battery powered Thomas run around on it.
Battery powered.
I did
Yeah,
love trains.
yeah.
When I was like 5 or 6.
My day, we had wooden.
No, I
Thomas
know, but I was
wooden tracks, wooden ones, and they would magnetically stick together all the different things. I didn't even own those, but you'd play with them at like
all
the
my
dentist
friends
office.
owned them. Yeah.
That was a
Damn,
dentist
battery
office
powered,
toy.
Justin. Back in my day, I would go to a website and watch Thomas the Train move.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. We also, or my favorite game though, Marble Mazes. You guys know what I'm talking about? Where you get like a little tower and it goes like back and forth, and you have like you could build like you know.
I think I know what you're talking about, but it did remind me of two board games that were top tier, like S tier. Kerplunk.
Kerplunk was great.
Kerplunk was Pog, and Perfection. Do you guys remember Perfection?
I don't know any of these.
Okay, I do know Perfection. Yes, I've seen. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfection is S tier. I don't know why it made me think of that, but yeah, I will say like I don't know. Board games were a big thing when I was a kid, big time.
True.
I think board games were huge during like the early 2000s, 90s.
Yeah, sorry, went way too hard.
Dude.
Clue,
Yahtzee.
Clue was S tier.
Clue is still fun. Damn.
I like
Clue's a good
Clue.
Clue's the best board game. I'm pretty sure.
I like Clue. I was just never good at it, and my sister always won.
It's murder,
you
but
guys
with
all-
it.
you
With
all
That's
have
sad
split-
because your sister's like 6 years younger than you.
No,
Do we
my
have any
stepsister,
only
she
child
was 2 years younger than
perspectives?
me.
Are we all like? Are we all like?
I'm the
sibling-ed?
baby, dude.
You're the baby.
I mean, I'm
You're
technically the
little
oldest,
baby?
I
That makes
guess.
sense. The
I'm
oldest of
the
your-
baby. Let's go.
Yeah, you have Big Baby from Dinosaurs Energy, which is a great cartoon during our era, by the way. Or not cartoon, sorry, live action. show.
That's live, dude. Those are real
That had some
dinosaurs.
seriously deep shit, man. There's like the one where the grandma gets too old, so she wants to be hurled into a volcano. Like that was
That's
not okay.
lit. I kind of
That was
want
not
that,
okay
actually.
for us to be watching back then. You know, there's a lot of that in the media that we consumed back then. Like, a
You're
lot
so
of the
true.
Darker undertones, I feel.
You know what was fucked up, dude? Was I was watching dinosaurs, but I was also like on 4chan at like 10 years old. So that's a whole other ball of wax that we won't get into. But
I got
Because it
banned
loaded,
by
dude.
being an idiot.
What was
It
like?
loaded, man.
What was the fad toy you guys played with? Because like, if I remember, there was like a phase at my school where obviously like the really multicolored like bouncy balls, and we just throw that like or bounce it on the floor as hard as we could. Or like you guys, I don't know if you probably don't know this, Sock, but like you would have like this little like curvature. It almost looked like a nipple. And then you'd flip it upside or like inside out. You put it on the ground. 5 seconds later,
yeah,
it'd
it
shoot
would
up into
jump.
the sky. Yeah. That
Yeah,
was
I know
also
this, I
like
know
kind of a fad, but like what
Those-
was your
those are
guys'
lit.
like stuff that you guys like?
My fad, undoubtedly, the biggest fad was silly bands. I mean,
Yes, that was my
just
middle
hit
school
everyone in the
fad.
school, dude.
Middle school. So that for you, that was
Silly bands were
elementary.
like a
That was
high
my
school thing
elementary
for
school
me.
fad. Yeah.
Let's
so
go.
I was a bit. It was a bit.
Wait,
I think
If those
dogs.
for
Like, they-
perspective, those came out when I was in high school.
dude,
Holy shit!
my
I remember
nephew,
that.
my nephew's fad for is fidget spinners, like for his elementary
No,
school,
dude.
and I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember that in high school.
Yeah, what was our fad? The
Dogs.
drawing the S. Drawing the
Dogs.
S was our
Oh, that's
fad.
that's
Oh,
not
the
even
sub?
a fad.
The
That's
S.
just
The
that's
S, dude.
immortalized. That's immortalized.
The
I don't
S.
even know if you guys started that. If I'm being honest, maybe
Even
you
I
did.
was doing it when I
No,
was
no,
in
no,
elementary
that-
school.
That was
X.
pre, but we were all doing it. Like we didn't have really fad toys we brought to school that I can think of. Like
Does anyone know
y'all
where
are
that's
playing with
actually
fidget
from, by the
spinners
way?
and those little pop things in
They would have
school. I don't know what
beat
we're
our
doing in
ass if
school.
we brought fidget spinners to school, son.
Like
They would've-
actually, they would have
they would have
boxed our
literally
eyes in.
struck us.
Yeah, I think that's
And
one
your parents would have been
thing.
like, good. That's what I would do too.
Physical hitting is not the same it used to be. From my generation to your guys' generation to even the generation before. Like
I
my
didn't really
brothers would
get
get
hit,
hit
though.
with the belt and like all this
I didn't-
shit and get like shoes thrown at them, and I'm just sitting there like, you're gonna have to
ever
go
have
on
that-
timeout. You're grounded for a week. And I'm like, yes.
The worst was never when it happened to you, but when you were at your like one friend's house who had the really
Oh,
strict Catholic parents, right?
Oh
you
my
did
God,
something,
dude.
like you did something because I was a jackass, so I did something stupid, and then they're like, "Oh, I won't say his name because I'm thinking of the exact kid. He probably is still traumatized to this day. They're like, get in here right now." And they like would go inside, and you just hear like horrible things. He'd come back out and go, "Okay, can we play? Can we play something else now?" Like, okay,
See, I had a
dude,
non-religious. I actually was a
Jesus
religious family.
Christ.
Can I just? I just want to put this on the table because it's really funny to me. This is just kind of irrelevant, but it's just a thought I want to get out there. Is my favorite thing was when, I was raised Roman Catholic. We went to church every Sunday, no exceptions. And what would happen is if my friends, my very non-religious, almost anti-religious friends, would sleep over on Saturday, they had to go to church on Sunday. And I remember when my buddy put the body of Christ in his mouth, the Eucharistic, the little Eucharist, and he hated it. He thought it was gross, so he spit it into his hand. He spit the body of Christ
Oh.
into his hand, which is like, and I remember I wasn't really even religious by the time I was like 11 or 12, I wasn't super religious, but like, I remember being like, dude, you can't do that.
Dude,
made, like,
you
meet
just
grandmas
broke the
pass
law.
out. He's made grandma's fucking.
Oh, it was
father.
awesome.
But now I'd be like, yeah, dude, fuck it, dude, spit it out. Spit it
I
out
think a
on the
lot
priest.
more of
Oh,
my
no.
friends, like our generation, were raised like in some sort of religion because it was like what parents like thought they were supposed to do, right? It was like what good
Correct.
people did. So I feel like my parents they are religious in some sense or spiritual or whatever, but like at the time they were just making us go to church because it was like what good people did, and they wanted us to do the thing that good people did. Plus, my mom would like not go half the time because she would like has a fucking break from our dumbasses like annoying her all week. Like she would get to stay home on Sunday, and my dad would take us to church, and we'd all go there, and she would just like sleep in and like have some fucking peace and quiet. So like I feel like that was why I was like indoctrinated into a religion, was so my mom could have like a fucking break, you know. But I got kicked out of 3 different churches for like calling shit fairy tales when I was like a really little kid. I was like a
Oh,
really little kid.
no.
They're like Sunday
pro-
school Jonah and the whale teaching me. And I'm like, what is this fairy tale? Like this is
Yeah,
pretty good.
I-
Is this like a Disney movie? And they're like,
This is a really
Gotta
good
go.
story. I really like who wrote this.
I was
Just
mega
believe it.
indoctrinated as a kid, but by the time you're like 10 or 11, you can start to like think for yourself. Like you're not scared of hell, really. You're just like,
Yeah, but that makes
and
me
not to
think
get
like
too
why
religious.
was religion so big before our time then? Because
I
not like
think
we
it's-
got
they've-
suddenly smarter. It's
Honestly,
no,
some
no,
people
no.
really
They
just
just
like the
dialed it back.
structure of it. Like,
Yeah, it's a community thing.
it's
also had nothing to
community,
do,
and it's
guys.
just
We
like
didn't
it's
have
just a
internet.
routine. A lot of people just like
Gotta go to
routine.
church.
wait, is the
Um,
internet actually why religion is on its downhill?
Definitely.
That's
It's
crazy.
definitely an
Hey.
element of that like the ability to go online and be like, wait a minute, like look
Is
at all these
God
websites
real?
that are
Fact
like,
check
"Hey, have you
anything."
ever right? You can literally like learn anything you want, and that was a big thing. Like in my day, Zanga was the original like social media that I was on. There was a big
The
like
fuck is
atheist section of
Zanga?
Zanga, dude. Oh man, it's hard to explain now. It was just like a journal. You just literally wrote like random shit on there. Like it wasn't like my picture wasn't on the internet anywhere. That was a big thing I was told never to do. Just for
Yes,
context,
yeah.
my original username on America Online was the letters A, K, and the number 5. I had like one of the first like America Online accounts. My account was
Yeah.
AK5.
42
Like,
more
and
number-
numbers.
a huge thing.
42
Me and
more
all my friends
numbers,
would
and you would
s-
have been base stack.
Yeah, me and all my friends would sit in an AIM chat room and just type to each other. But you
Yep,
need to sit
yep.
there and actively be at the computer typing with one another. So it's like the most snoozer shit ever. Like social media has like evolved to like a point where it's almost too much where you don't even really care about it anymore. Before we would have like really deep conversations and just sit in a room and type to one another. And it was like things have changed so much with social media. I think it's like actually
We
horrifying.
conversed. We interacted. We didn't try to like express or Like I feel like now social media is all
There's
about
no way
like,
to flex.
presenting yourself in a certain way. Like here's what
Oh,
I
for
did
sure.
today. Here's what I ate today. Back then we were like, yo man, would you like to go to the movie theater because we don't have cell phones, so we need to plan this here and now so we can time this.
So,
so at the
like-
movie
And then
theater
there's
at the
that
same
one
time.
bitch who didn't show up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I couldn't get a ride. My parents didn't want to take me."
My parents were mad about the other time when.
Yeah. By the way, Mom, can you get off the phone? I'm trying to get back online, dude. And it was
That's
just, like,
crazy that it was like that. I've never experienced
wild,
that.
dude.
That's
It was
that
wild.
is a generational gap. If there's anyone here, is that I spawned in and the internet just worked and I was fine.
Yeah, so we have this crazy perspective of, I remember getting like my first cell phone when I was probably like 12 or 13 years old, and it was a Singular. Singular was pre AT&T. It was like the baby AT&T, and I had a flip phone. And I remember getting like Shoulder Lean ringtones, which was like a big song at the time, and like 50 Cent songs as ringtones, and you had to pay like $10 each for them. And I remember like watching it evolve so rapidly. Like we went from like flip phones to like basically the first iteration of the iPhone in like 5 years, and it was like night and day. And then all of a sudden it exploded once all like your normal people, your quote unquote normies, like once the mass population adopted the idea of wanting an iPhone, I think that's when social media like really started to explode, because they wanted, it was basically like an arms race to try to collect as much information about people to sell them shit as possible.
You know what's
So-
crazy is that I had phones. I had like a BlackBerry that I used to play with. It was my mom's old phone when I was like 8. My first actual phone that was bought for me was an iPhone 4. That was
Oh,
my
wow,
first
okay.
phone. I was like 12 or 13 or something.
I got my first smartphone 5 years ago. I bought it.
Yeah.
What were you
I
rocking
honestly-
before? I mean,
I was rocking a shitty little burner flip phone, dude.
Let's
I didn't,
go.
I didn't like
We-
what would happen to me if I got a smartphone, and this is exactly what was going to happen to me. Spent all my goddamn time on Twitch and fucking phones and shit. Now I'm on podcasts, but I could be, out in the sunshine.
I'm tired of
riding
your
a bicycle through the night.
I'd rather.
I'm tired
I'd
of your
rather
cold
be
takes.
pictured-
I'm tired of your cold takes.
Yeah, it's like dopamine. It's like dopamine overdose. But honestly, dude, like I can do without phones because I lived without them for such a long portion of time. I think there's people who are like attached to their hip with their phone. If I could access like the key applications on my phone and like have them half the amount of time that I normally have them, I'd be fine. Some people require that they check in on like Facebook Messenger still, and I'm like, dude, you're like, I don't know. It's weird. There's certain aspects where I feel like I'm a boomer, and then other aspects where I'm like ahead of the curve with technology. Like I'm like, you're still using Facebook Messenger? Are you good, dude?
Well, what's crazy
I
is
don't
like
know.
I think 90% of Zoomers are definitely like that, where they need their phone at all times, and they need to be absorbing content. But when it comes to the phone, I will just go like a month where my phone is just missing, and I just don't even care to look for it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I really don't care if I have
about
my phone. I just need my computer. That's it. So I guess maybe it's the same thing. I don't know.
I think once you understand how a computer works, if you're like the Giga Chad computer enjoyer, you understand that like anything that your phone can do, your computer can do better.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it depends. It depends. The phone's great because you can use it out and about, right? You can use it while you're going to do shit. But if you're at home anyways, why would I sit and use like YouTube on a phone when I can throw on headphones and watch a YouTube video in 4K, full screen,
Chilling, leaning back. Yeah.
leaning back in my chair? So there's like a computer enjoyer aspect, a Giga Chad computer enjoyer aspect that you're not taking into account. But your average person who isn't a Giga Chad probably doesn't understand, like that is the computer to them. That is the only computer they
I
have, is like
appreciate
their
The
phone.
Giga Chad comparison, by the way. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
My thing with phones, and I don't want to attack anyone personally. I don't want to say or make generalizations.
Yeah, you do.
But I'm gonna
That's
say this
exactly
right
what he
here.
wants to do.
Gen Z compared to millennials. If I have a group of my, because I have friends in both like segments, right? I have a decent amount of friends because like I've got a younger brother and like younger cousins and shit, right? If a group of Gen Z people are hanging out, right? And I'm trying to like and get to know them and be like, yo, man, what's your story? What's your deal? What's your
Oh,
life?
yeah.
They are just busy either on their phone or they've never actually asked themselves any of the questions that I'm asking them.
It's
because they've
so
never had-
true.
They never had that downtime or that moment where they didn't have something to distract them from their existential fate. That they're
It's actually
alive.
sad,
They should
dude.
make sense of it.
I think
I-
it's
Why
actually
would
a
you face
better
that
life.
when you could just watch YouTube, right? Like,
True.
It's actually coping. It's
Like-
literally copium in dopamine form.
Damn, dude, life is suffering. Anyways, top 10 Fortnite dances to get the dub with.
No, but for real, I advise everyone out there to go watch a video on the internet. I think it's called like High School in the '90s. Everybody is interacting with one another. They're looking each other in the face. They're laughing. They're joking, and not like that stuff doesn't happen, but I think it happens way less when you're able to bury your phone and get like dopamine hits from notifications popping up on Instagram. It's like social media is actually like terrorism, dude. It's awful. It's actually really a problem. And if you guys haven't seen what's the documentary they put? It's called like The Social something. It's on Netflix. It's great, but it explains exactly how these individual applications use psychology to trick you into always checking in on them and trick you into like being addicted to them. It's really interesting and it's very true. So I think that's definitely a factor with Zoomers is their need for validation through internet points,
I think
notification
it's true of a
systems, likes
decent
and
amount
such.
of
Can I-
millennials too. I think there are.
It is. No, it is.
To
It
be
is.
fair,
It is.
there are a lot of our generation and our friends that also do that. We just
Oh,
seem to
yeah.
have had that similar experience where I didn't have my own phone until I was in college. Like I had to
I
get
think
my
it's
own
probably
cell
like
phone plan to have a cell phone. So like,
yeah, I think there's people who fell into that trap who are from our generation, but I feel like people who are a generation younger than us probably were indoctrinated into it. That it was so normalized for them that, if you're a brainlet in your millennial, you'll fall for it. But it's literally manufactured. It's designed to be addictive. So the people who are indoctrinated into that when they were like 5 or 6 years old, you've seen kids, the generation after Zoomers, on a tablet in a grocery store before, right? That's
Yeah,
like
those kids are fucked.
that's
like,
shut.
straight up.
They're done.
fucked.
Yeah, they're
they're
cooked.
fried.
We can
They're
all agree
fried.
they're cooked. So they're getting indoctrinated to that addiction of the dopamine hit of like gotcha app games where you have to log in every day and you get plus 10 purple crystals to buy a fucking like hat for a character. Like they're fucked, dude.
Have you seen those like kids YouTube videos that just like
Yeah,
you look at
they're
them
done.
and it's like an AI generated them. It makes
They're done,
no
dude.
sense. But they're the
Done.
most viewed videos ever. Literally every 5-year-old is clicking to see what Elsa does next, dude. It
Mr.
is
Bloodpoints.
freaking me out.
True,
Okay.
Mr. Bloodpoints, dude. I'm literally itching for a hit, dude. I'm fucking smoking that Bloodpoints crack pipe, dude. I'm begging for points codes, dude. I'm asking everywhere.
Oh my god. I just think I hate to go back, but I just thought it was so funny that Cyclops is like shitting on like this generation, like relying on technology. Meanwhile, he says, I encourage you all to go check out this YouTube video as well as this Netflix original.
great irony of that.
Well, no, no,
I'm just saying,
Normalized.
I'm just
so
saying it's
No,
so
no, no.
like it's so ingrained that like we do it so like we're just so aware of it or unaware of
It's
it.
the duality of technology. The duality of technology is that it's poison, but it also teaches you about how poison it is.
It's like
That's the
forbidden
duality
fruit.
of technology. You literally can learn everything you need to know. You can learn about how awful it is through
You can look into
technology.
the
Dude.
Black Mirror and realize
It's real. It's real, dude. It's real. I
Just
know.
how
Seriously,
fucking-
watch it. Watch it. It's. I will say it's different than like watching TikToks of people going, and doing like mayonnaise and shit. It's different than that. You're like actually educating yourself and learning about like the psychology of why things are designed a certain way, and there's good stuff you can reach on the internet. I will sit and watch a stupid documentary about World War II on Netflix. I think that's more
you say,
productive than maybe watching kids hit
just
the
on a
wall.
stream.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's the duality of technology. It's the great educator and also the great
Sorry.
underminer of education. You can sit there and watch nothing for hours. You can scroll on TikTok and
I think
learn,
feeds
absorb
into, like,
nothing.
the major thing between what we would consider like nebulous Gen Z and millennials is our relationship to the concept of instant gratification. I think
Oh, dude,
that
it's so
Gen
addicting.
Z has had instant gratification since day one. Like if you want something, you want a picture to load on the internet, it loads on the internet. you want to find something on the internet, you type it in Google and it just tells you the answer to shit. Back in our day, we had to go through like 50 random websites that some guy made about dolphins that just had a bunch of lies on it. Like some random guy made a dolphin website and you're trying to do a dolphin research project and it's like some Angel Fire or fucking whatever the fuck website. You're like,
There's like clip art at the top that's like animated at like 10 frames per second.
Hit counter at the bottom of the flaming text. Like that
waited
shit.
30 seconds for the clip art of the dolphin to load. And
We
you're
took
just
a
like,
lot of time. I think that's going to come up later on if we're actually going to get to any of this shit.
Yeah.
You guys talk
No,
about
we're not.
You know,
libraries.
dude,
about
honestly, this
library.
podcast
Talk
is
about
almost hitting an
library.
hour. No,
We
hold
already
on.
hit a lot of
Do
the
you-
topics though.
Honestly,
Just review.
do you guys remember the fucking paperclip on Microsoft Word?
Yeah.
of course,
Dude, that
Clippy,
was my
paper,
best
dude,
friend.
the day he left, I was so sad. He
I know
went,
of it in hindsight, but I
he
never
went
experienced
way too hard. He would just do like random animations too, just like start flipping around.
Yeah,
Total
Yeah,
distraction.
Clippy kind of quirky for sure.
Yeah, you couldn't settle debates or answer questions. You'd be like, "Who was that person in that movie?" And it would haunt you all day. You
Clippy
would
kind
not.
of
just
you
you'd
would
be
not get
punching
the
air.
answer. You'd be like, "What the fuck was that guy's name? Oh my god, I
Dude, you'd
can't."
be pinch.
And now I feel like my brain is just mush now because I no longer have to really critically think about shit like that.
You'll
I don't
get
have to
this.
know how to spell words. Like it'll just spell words for me if I start
Correct,
typing
yeah.
something that vaguely looks like the word.
I think it makes you a brainlet a little bit, technology, but also what used to happen was if you needed to know something, I remember actually, unironically, turning around, opening up two cabinets and going A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All right, I want to look up this gorilla, and I'd have to take the G encyclopedia out of my fucking cabinet and
God.
find gorilla and look it up. I'm dead ass. You used to have to look in a book
That's
that
horrible.
you had on a shelf that was alphabetical. It was real, dude. Before the internet was like reliable, you needed to do that.
Dude, Cyclops, if I went back to that time and was like my age with all my experiences right now, if I wanted to look up that gorilla, I'd be like, okay, let me look up that. Oh, I have to fucking get out the book. Never mind, I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
exactly.
I would give up. I would straight give
Gen
up.
Z hatred on books. What's that about? I don't understand.
Books are lit. No, books
No,
are
people
lit.
like people like books.
I wish
Not as
I wish I read
many-
more.
Not as
I
many.
wish I read
Gen
more.
Z
Okay,
people
yes.
Look at me funny when I try to.
Graham,
like,
have you
bring up
been
the
to a
concept.
yes,
Okay,
I've been
this-
to a library?
This is okay. No. Hold on.
That's mean.
Hold on. Shut up.
That's
Shut up.
mean.
Shut up. Shut up.
That's
Shut
a
up. Shut
genuine
up.
question.
I
The
put
host
this.
speak.
I put this on the fucking outline because
Yeah, well,
I bet 199% that Cyclops and Actuality have a very different experience at libraries than Cram does. And it's not
Correct.
even close. Why did you guys go
Correct.
to the library?
To
Get chicken
escape
up
escape the cold.
Escape the cold.
Really? That's
Sure,
it?
true. If it got
No,
cold,
no,
you
no.
just went to the library. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
See, I
for
have
sure,
I have a theory,
it's a
but
free
maybe
building.
I'm not. Maybe I'm
On
wrong.
stream, can you not right now?
You would need to look up shit, dude.
Wow.
Look
Like,
up what
you
on
don't
what?
do animal shit.
Please stop.
homework. If you needed to do homework, you'd have to
Please
go to the library
stop.
because it was the only place to have a computer where you could type
to
something
do a
up and print
project.
it off easily.
That
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there's a fuck on
is
screen.
what I was arguing.
Please.
Cram, what is happening?
I'm off shoving my dog into the camera. I'm sorry.
There's a bug.
I have control over this.
Keep in mind the dog is
Exercise
named
the decimal
Riven
system,
because
true.
Cram is a nerd. Anyway,
Does your mom know
ribbon
that
like
we're
the
currently
League of Legends.
tearing
Okay,
you apart for
Cram.
your upbringing?
run it back. Did you hear what they said of why they went to the library?
No, I was too busy.
It's
The dog.
because it was the only place you had access to type and print for like a fucking paper. It was also they fucking limited your internet time, dude. I remember that too. I remember like kids at like I think it was like sixth grade and below got like 30 minutes or an hour or something, and then like the high school kids got like an hour and a half, and I was like, that's so greedy. They get so much longer than we do. But just like something like that is literally the reason why like you could just go home, type your shit, you probably have a printer, or you just like email your teacher, drop it in the Dropbox. But libraries, it's so like it's so not fucking used anymore, dude. I just remember the day I stopped going because I had like a laptop.
I remember like even a little bit before what you're talking about, where Netscape was such an unreliable browser that you didn't even really use. You were better off going around seeking out the books to find the topics that you wanted to learn about, and you could actually type up a paper and print it without really using the internet at all. You would just use like the word processing, which I think was WordPad. Every computer came with WordPad, which was just an elevated version of Notepad. Basically, you could do formatting on it, and you would type up your paper and you print it off without ever actually accessing the internet at all. I remember that was a thing for a lot of school projects, but and I remember checking out a bunch of drawing books because I was dumb and I didn't read too much. I should have read more, but I would always check out drawing books because I liked to draw when I was a kid. It teach you how to draw like a frog or some shit.
I think
found those books by searching through drawers full of little tiny cards that told you what section of the library to find the fucking book in. You didn't find them. There's no.
I didn't have
like,
that. By my time, I already had a directory, so it just like, or you just ask the person and they typed
card
it.
Catalog, baby.
Yeah, Cram.
Yeah,
So,
card catalog is real.
did you get that experience? Do you ever use a computer at a library?
No.
I knew it. I
I only ever went
it.
to the libraries because it was either like after a basketball game and I just took a nap there, or like I actually wanted to read a
fair.
book, which was
You just
rare.
wanna get
but
some
sometimes
bitches.
I did.
Yeah. So Zachariel TV. Libraries are not for books. Libraries are where they were like daycare for us. I guess Cyclops said to get out of the cold. They were a computer lab. You could get like movies and like your entertainment for the week. There was also a cafeteria. Like honestly, libraries are like a
tape specifically.
just like iPads and like Netflix raises kids now. We were raised by libraries. Very different. That is like a huge difference, I think, because like now that you have a technology so available, you don't need to go somewhere to enter technology.
Up into the millennial camp, is that what's happening here?
I am millennial camp, dude.
Are you?
My argument for me being
I
in
don't think
millennial
Justin
camp,
actually is.
I think my argument is my brothers are 15 years older than me, and I was kind of raised similar to them by my parents, and I didn't get like access to a lot of like technology and stuff till like way later. So I kind of had like the same experience you guys did. When you the way actuality
I look behind you, and I see Gen Z though is what I'm seeing. You know,
okay, look,
Yeah.
this is
the aesthetic culture.
okay. Well, what I will say is when you talked about like riding around on your bike to friends' houses after school, like that is literally what I did. Like, granted, because my brothers were older, they were the ones with the 64, so kids came over to my house for video games. But besides that, dude, like we were playing like catch with, for some reason, with a baseball in the street, risking getting run over by a car. You know, that's just how it be sometimes.
You have to have that iconic experience of being like core and everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember
Dodge for your life.
I was driving down the street during quarantine, and I just happened to be driving around on like some random suburb, like average run of the mill street. And I saw kids playing in the street, and I was like, holy fucking shit, people still do that? Like, I remember when I did that, but it was just like so weird. And then they all were like,
that's shocking though, right? Huh?
yeah, right. And they were all freaking out that I was driving down the street because I was just kind of driving down random streets because I was bored. Like, I mean, I kind of ruined their day because I definitely didn't need to be down that street. But you know what I mean? Like, I was just so bored during quarantine. I was like, oh, let me go fucking drive around for a bit. Justice, do you think there is a generation in between millennials and Gen Z? They call that the bridge, but I don't think it's 97 to 01. I think it's 95 to 99. I think you got the years off a little. But yeah, there is something officially called the bridge, where we kind of just don't belong in either. Because we do remember 9/11, but we don't really remember much before 9/11. And
that's what I wanted to say to expose Cram. I want to say, where were you when the towers fell?
In his mom's stomach.
8 months pregnant.
Exactly.
Yeah, in the stomach.
Scary. Holy shit.
I was born a
wild.
month after 9/11.
It's nuts.
That's fucked, dude. I remember I was in first grade, and I remember the teachers freaking out, being kind of weird. They said, if you can go home, if you want to go home, you can. And I remember going home and specifically Fox News being on. We were Catholic. And watching in disbelief as they showed it had already occurred by the time I had gotten home, because it happened pretty early in the morning, but watching the footage of the towers fall, and it's like burned in your skull, dude. It never ever goes away, dude. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, it's burned into my school too, but only because I've seen it in memes so many times.
Correct. Yeah, it's kind of a joke. It becomes like a joke, and it's fine to make jokes about stuff like that. But I feel like it's funny because I remember seeing like 9/11 jokes later in life and being like, "Damn, dude." Hey, another Netflix documentary. Shout out to Netflix. Shout out to Brainwashing Media.
Uh-huh.
Watch the 9/11 doc.
You know,
it's good.
people like Roach still believe Bush did it, or that it was an inside job. How does that make you feel?
It's
You
crazy
know,
how right they are.
Different podcast.
inside
folks.
job in what context though? Inside job. It's inside as far as
Completely.
the only reason why they were able to do it was because we supplied Al Qaeda with the means to accomplish it, but we didn't directly do it.
People who flew into the tower weren't even.
Yeah, there's people who think that the planes had no windows and that they were like drones.
The passengers did it.
Yeah, the passengers are alive somewhere. Like that's so insulting.
Chilling
Dude.
on an island.
It's so insulting.
Cyclops is giving conspiracy theorist podcast host vibes by recommending obscure documentaries.
Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix.
Dude, do you just go
the
through
most
Netflix
obscure-
looking at weird documentaries?
The most obscure.
Oh
most,
no,
you know,
Roach.
The most
Ban 'em.
alt,
Just ban 'em.
the most alt-right conspiracy platform, Netflix.com. No, it's a good doc, and it really is like it's sad. It's really sad, but it's good. If you want
When was the
to
last
feel sad,
time-
watch it.
Any of you read a book? What was the last
Ooh,
book
it's-
you read?
It's been a while.
The last
I
book I
read-
read.
You sat down, you read the book, like,
Behind
you
me.
read it, and you just read it. You weren't like distracted. You weren't like
Does manga
whatever.
count?
You just read it. Yes, manga counts, obviously.
Oh, I read manga every day.
All right, so you're the most well-read of all of us then.
I
That
absorb
doesn't
the
count.
most literature, I guess.
And out
It
of
does not
curiosity,
count.
Cram, this question's for you. When you interact with people like Cyclops and I, do you see like two peers in the prime of their lives, or do you see two old men withering away at the end?
I see you guys in your prime, but you see otherwise.
I mean, I see humans.
Okay.
But
Wrong
not
already.
friends.
Already wrong.
All right.
Not friends. Just
Yeah,
I
Roach.
see
Roach could
potential-
talk about
potential
this all
enemies.
day.
In the future.
Roach, you're right about everything. I'm not sure about the insurance thing, but yeah, the fact that they were cleared to fly or get on get on a plane after being on a no-fly list is trait incompetence. So whether or not it was planned or not, there was like 7 layers of incompetence that you could
Wait, they were on a
basically
no-fly
write off
list
as
and they
being
still put 'em on a
allowed to
plane?
do. Yeah,
That's crazy.
or a couple of them were, not everyone, but a
Like the
couple of them
passengers
were
or
on
like
it.
the actual terrorists.
The actual terrorists were on a no-fly list and they were allowed on the plane.
What was your coolest tech item when you were a kid? My generation loved Tamagotchis. I don't know if you guys
Nintendo DS probably.
were you guys too old for Tamagotchis?
I was too young.
Those existed, but by the time they were cool, I was like 11. So it was like,
Yeah.
oh, you have a little pet in your pocket. What are you, a little
Mhm.
girl? It was
Also,
like,
what was big?
not cool anymore.
DS.
Get a lot.
DS was fucking. Everyone had a DS, dude. If you did not have a Nintendo DS and you didn't bring it to school like 3 days a week, you were not cool.
You know, what was the most lit
That's
technology
actually true though.
when I was a kid there was a Pokedex replica that
That's
had like a
awesome.
little LCD screen, and you could type in, it had a number pad, and you would type in like the corresponding number of the Pokemon, and it would show up. It was like basically a calculator screen. That was
Was
the
it Gen
quality of
1?
it. Yeah, it was Gen 1.
That's dope. I would love to have
Holographic
that.
Pog Slammers, exactly, Zach.
You're
Like, what if
calling
that's a
cap
now?
on DS? I don't know, Z. Maybe you just were not part of that.
Yeah,
Everyone had a
Pogs
fucking
were a
DS,
thing.
dude.
My favorite technology was a Walkman, because that was like a new and exciting thing. that
Oh,
I could listen
yo.
to where I wanted to go.
Yo,
That was like
do you
that
remember
was
when
life
you were like in
changing.
like middle school and they came out with this crazy thing, the gramophone? I was just wondering if you've ever experienced that.
I love a good gramophone, dude. I love a good gramophone.
That was
But
one-
no,
that's
it
one of
was
my
like,
favorite,
Middle school is like when the Walkman came out for me. Like when you had like
True.
passable, usable Walkmans.
When I was a kid,
I honestly don't believe people existed during the Walkman era. I think that
The-
the universe was created like 2 years ago.
You're
Well,
so
I
dumb,
existed.
Cram.
And I existed,
Yeah.
and I was leaning my head against the bus window, listening to that bitch, and ignoring everything around
Correct.
me. That's what I was doing. It
How big was it? Was
So-
it like a brick?
was big, big old
kinda,
thing,
yeah.
circular thing.
I remember
CD
it
size
evolving
device.
super quickly. Do you remember having like the flat round CD players that you would jam into your hoodie pocket and it would like stretch
Yep.
your hoodie pocket out? I'd run
Yep.
around and I'd have the little foam headphones. They were like
Yep.
just like one strip like this and two little
Dollar store
foam
fucking
things.
headphones. Yeah.
Dollar Store headphones, and I listened to Enema of the State and run around my neighborhood, and it would be skipping the whole fucking time. It would be scratching the
Right.
shit out of the CD.
Yep.
And then like 5 years later, I had an iPod Classic that had like 128 gigs storage. It was like
Yep.
it's crazy, dude. The evolution, I'm telling you, dude, it's like it actually makes your like
Yep.
brain numb.
I went from
because
mowing my grandma's lawn with like the Walkman jammed in my hoodie pocket, like you said, or in my jeans pocket, like skipping. But you had the anti-skip Walkmans then, so then you were like, all right, this is at least tolerable. Like riding your bike, listening to your Walkman. But now it's like, a couple years later, you're like, oh, all my music is on this one thing. I no longer have to go to a giant binder and go through my CDs and decide what I'm listening to.
Yeah,
That's
the iPod Classic that had it had the little screen up top and the actual ring. You would have to like
Yep.
roll
Spin the
your
ring,
finger
baby.
around, spin the ring, and it had like tactile click. Like that thing was actually lit. And to have 128 gigs of storage was like that was unheard of back then.
Dude,
Classic by uploading
I remember some dude.
No, I remember doing that. I remember doing that.
Another thing everyone had is by middle school, everyone had like an iPod Touch, and I remember some dude brought his iPod Touch to school with Iron Man like fully downloaded on it, and we just watched Iron Man. That was nuts. I was like, "What is this, man?" There's just like a mini DVD player in your hand. What is that shit?
Yeah.
Did you have the experience of like your parents like monitoring what you watched as well? Because like in our day, we didn't have the
No.
ability to just like unchecked watch whatever we wanted on TV. Like my parents would always be like, "You can't watch R-rated movies." So like I only saw R-rated movies when I was like at a sleepover at a friend's house, and they're like, "You guys want to watch Jurassic Park?" And I was like, "I've never seen it."
Sure.
And they're like,
Jurassic
What?
Park's
Movies?
R-rated?
yeah. Well, back then it was probably not. It was probably PG-13. But my parents.
This
were
is a
still
very
probably like,
specific,
watch
memory for
dinosaurs
me.
and stuff.
Do you guys? I remember watching Men in Black for the first time on VHS when it dropped on VHS, and
Hell yeah.
having to cover my eyes when the roach guy ripped the skin off. My parents made me cover my eyes because it was so disgusting at the time. But like, it's funny because they monitored the technology they understood, which was movies. Little did they know, I was playing Quake 1 unmonitored at like 6 years old on my desktop, absolutely annihilating, gibbing enemies. Their guts were flying everywhere. They were screaming for mercy as I'm pressing a shotgun against their head and pulling trigger. So like, and then I was on 4chan, was like 10 years old. So they just didn't understand the technology. They didn't understand. I had free reign of. And it was dangerous, but the stuff they did understand, like movies, yeah, I was raised super Roman Catholic, so like certain stuff, yeah. Like I remember having Hellboy on DVD and getting it confiscated and hidden when it's really just like a Marvel.
I've never seen that.
My parents were that way about Magic the Gathering because they were like, "Aren't there cards in that are like satanic and evil?"
True,
Which, to be
yeah.
fair, there was no stopping
There are.
me in my inevitable descent to the depths of a servant of Satan. But my parents really tried. They gave it their best,
I think it's
They
kind of
tried.
funny how I grew up because I grew up in the era where like the restrictions on devices were like you could set up like age restricted content and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents
Yeah,
weren't
sure.
techie enough to actually know how to do that.
Dude, they would ask me how to do it for them, and I'm
I'd be
like,
I don't know. I don't know.
here,
So
this
here's
is
the
what you
thing.
do.
Here's the thing: is us millennials now are going to be the worst parents ever. Our kids are going to fucking hate us.
That's
You better
so
believe.
true.
I know how to block everything. I know how to like MAC address block devices from connecting to the router. Like I know how to like block particular web addresses from connecting. Like I actually know
It's
how
like,
to block shit. My kids
Dad,
are not gonna see
it's
certain
like
shit.
I know Google Incognito mode.
Yeah.
Dude,
Did your
it's like
parents ever
fucking-
go through your search history?
Oh yeah.
My parents didn't know how to.
Yeah, they're
They
like,
did it once and then they never did it again.
you know what I did? I went through my parents' search history,
Holy.
and then I was like, look, hey, you can't get mad at me. I see what you guys are looking up.
You guys want to wind this down with a funny story here? Because
Yeah, let's wind it down.
back in the day, I was the degenerate, right? My brother was the chosen one, right? But since I was the degenerate, I knew how to appropriately delete my internet history after I looked at anything scandalous, right? My brother, on the other hand, being a good goody two shoes, did not understand what an internet history was. My dad was a math teacher and a computer teacher, so he knew what one was, and he checked it regularly. And I knew that, and he knew that I was deleting it, and he was like, "Fine, that's fine. As long as I'm ignorant of whatever shit you're doing, that's great." Anyway, one day it came up that my mom somehow accidentally clicked on the history because she didn't know how to do that for sure, but she accidentally clicked and found some horrible shit on the computer downstairs that I never used, but that ironically my brother used often and frequently. So they blamed me immediately, and like a good big brother, I took the fall. So shout out to my brother and my parents if you're watching this. The
Yeah, good
truth is
job.
out there now, folks.
And we know that you are.
I took the fall for the very generic, boring pornography that I was accused of watching.
Lady
like,
with
yeah.
That
big
was the hard
boobs.
part.
It's like, yeah,
The hard
mom,
part for
I
me was
totally
how
watch Missionary
utterly idiotic.
Yeah.
and not like
Big
anime,
boob
like fucking hentai feet porn with. Oh god! Like, I'm totally not watching the true
you guys watch
degenerate
that too
shit.
as kids? You guys watch that too?
No.
Now, Axe watching
Oh.
some BDSM,
If it wasn't-
fucking
If it wasn't like
basement torture, anal hook shit.
If there's an octopus anywhere in your search history, you need to get that shit cleared out, bro.
so collapses in my walls.
This is so stupid.
I don't know if this is a generational gap, but tell me if it is. Did you guys ever have a time where you would try to get your DS at night and like you have to hide it under your pillow when your mom's like checking whether or not you're awake?
Yeah. I even did that with the Game Boy Advance magnifier plus light add-on because I was pre SP, so you had to actually have light in order to see.
Dude,
Oh,
I would
your
not
Game
get
Boy.
debated by that if I was a dad because I just like, you know, there was a device online at 2 a.m. You want to explain yourself?
Yeah, exactly, dude. I could like literally track their GPS track their location using Apple Find Me.
Cast
Dude,
whatever they're
I'm gonna be the
watching to my
worst.
TV. Like,
I'm going to be the worst, dude. Rest in peace, my kids. Nah, I'll be cool, but I'll block certain stuff. Like they're not gonna have access to certain stuff. But
Twitch.tv/action.
yeah, no
Yeah.
Twitch
Wait.
until you're 20.
we're
That's the
blocking
first
that.
thing.
That's the first. It's like no watching Uncle Ack. No watching Uncle
We're blocking
Ack.
all
Holy
Steam
shit, my
downloads.
kid's
My
watching
kids-
XQC!
Yo, Goose.
Yeah,
When is the
they're-
first time I'm babysitting for Goose? That's the real question.
You,
Like,
you
listen,
find the
Piper,
purple
you're not
stuff
getting
yet,
a
bud?
phone. You're not getting a phone until you're 25. You're reading books. Here's your
I'm gonna make
first
my kid-
homework assignment. Here's 10
I'm gonna make my kid
dusty
read.
existential novels. I need you to read them.
Ironically,
I
I
would
feel
not
like
read.
your kid would come out so ill-equipped for society if you just book through them.
I have a question. Do you agree? Or this is kind of really unrelated, but since fuck it, we're just gonna go. I'm just gonna ask you guys straight up. So in Europe, it's more common to censor violence and like guns and stuff like that and make that rated R, but like sex is like like naked nudity PG-13.
Sure.
Do you think
Mhm.
that makes more sense? Like I kind of agree. Like I don't know, like if we're really celebrating the fact that kids are like pew pew, I'm gonna rip your head off instead of like, oh, I want to make sensual love to you. I mean,
say
I don't know
show it
which
all,
one's
dude.
actually worse, but
I say show it all, dude.
Yeah, show it all.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like
all
you gotta
real. It's
censor
all
some
life.
stuff because you don't
I'm
want
saying
like
if
them
you-
to be
if you-
like,
if you don't censor anything and a kid gets
Here's
fucked up
a-
because of it, it's natural selection.
Here's the problem with all that. This is the problem with this is why I can't engage in conversations like this, because the problem is not censoring things from the kid, it's that you had the kid to begin with, right?
oh,
That is the
God.
great,
Oh,
great
no.
crime.
What are these
That is the
cold
great crime.
takes?
It all comes back to this.
True.
It all comes
It's
back
so
to this.
Can
real.
we get a Giga
Gen-
Chad in the chat, please?
Millennials, Gen Zs.
What were
There
you
should be no
thinking?
more generations after this. Stop having kids, people.
Let's
Let's
just
end it.
all upload.
Irresponsible.
Let's
I'm
upload our
sorry,
brain to the
Goose.
computer. No
I'm sorry
more
you had to
life.
be here to hear this, Goose, but you know.
who
Once
is
China-
Goose?
Once China
stop it, dude.
invades the West Coast, dude, you're going first, Justin. Once they land on the West Coast and start their nuclear armament, it's all gonna be over. We're gonna be speaking Mandarin. It's our generations are done, dude. It's all good. It's
Get
over.
a head start.
GGs.
Get Duolingo.
Look, this is you know,
I-
I've got another
Dude.
year till my insurance will pay for a vasectomy, and then this bloodline is done.
Have you
It's
heard
over.
like
My brother
Amen.
ain't.
all the like the like I don't even know if I could call it like alt, but just like these crazy theories that they're like overturning Roe v. Wade because they need like more people for the economy or something. Like it has nothing to do with like moral, but just entirely like with economics.
I'm
that's some evil shit that would be real.
There's too many actualities that don't want to have kids and let the government win, so they gotta spin it around or something. I think that's a crazy theory. That's a crazy theory.
I think they want less people. I think they want more control, less people. I think more people's bad for them. I think they actually want population control. I think the people who are overturning Roe v. Wade are just closet homosexuals for the most part.
I don't even know who that is.
What is why? Can you explain the connection?
Just structural misogyny in our government. It's like how we talked about, like when we were growing up, the people who are making all the laws are not the people who should be like.
Correct. Yeah.
People who are actually like engaged in a society are never the ones who are like, you know what I want to do with my life? I want to be a politician.
Do you remember when that Gen Z? I forgot her name, but she's like from I think like
Greta
Finland. Yeah, Greta. And like everyone was like shitting on like this 12-year-old kid for like trying to like solve the planets and like be Earth. She's like, I'm inheriting this bad like polluted world, and everyone's like, this stupid girl, shut up. She knows nothing about politics. She was spoon-fed this speech. And it's just like, oh my god, why are we putting down the kid? Like
it's true on both ends. I feel like kids, even the most educated verbose kid is still dumb as shit. I think kids are just dumb. I think you don't know how the world really works until you're probably like in your 30s. I'm still learning shit every fucking day. So like it's just it's a joke, dude. It's all a joke.
Because like I was different from other kids. Like other kids are like, yeah, Fortnite, let's go. But me, I'm like, can we talk about the political and economical state of the world? Like
I don't know how it works.
Shut
dude.
up, Cram. I hate you.
I warned you.
I hate you. I know you did say you were gonna say that, but that just coming out of your stupid horse's mouth, it's worse. Dude, okay, so I'm thinking we're 14 minutes away from this thing being all but over. And I don't think we even covered half of this outline because we kind of got.
Yeah, we got most of it.
We did not at all.
Sure. We had a lot of the topics down the chart.
I'm thinking if you guys are down, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do you guys want to do a part 2 in 2 weeks? We'll take a week off,
just talk
reconvene.
About life in 2 weeks. How's that sound?
Are you down for a part 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
I would love to get to some of these questions. Like I wanted to talk about. I mean, I don't want to leak it, but we'll get on those topics because anyway.
Good point.
Getting back to section 3 of the outline, what were you guys into, like in terms of TV shows? What went way too hard for you?
Beyblades.
Beyblades, the show?
Yeah, Metal Fusion.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Answer. That
Metal Fusion, Metal Master, and then Metal Fury, I think it was. I don't.
This is also the guy that probably loved Yu-Gi-Oh! And then like fucking cries when the Exodia scene plays.
Ready? Dragon Ball.
Let's fucking go.
I love Dragon Ball, but I didn't grow up with it. I
Dragon Ball
watched
was
it as
lit.
an adult.
That shit was always on at like 5 in the morning when I was getting ready for the school bus. It was the perfect time.
Dragon Ball was lit.
Let's go.
And Z was lit once you were like a younger kid or a younger I was probably like 11 or 12. A little too old. I was starting to get too old, but Dragon Ball Z was great too. I love Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball was great. Kids shows. Yo, I was a Rugrats kid. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but I was
even as a kid. Rugrats creeped me out. The animation just scares me. It looks so sickening. I just they look like fucking aliens, and they look like they were like gonna. Wait, actually, are you raising your hand or what? It looks like you're raising your hand. Oh no, it's just a pose. Oh, do you want to say something about which shows you watched?
No, I don't care.
Damn.
I was just sitting.
Damn.
I was just sitting like an old man.
Dude, do you want to know what my sister was raised on though? She was raised on fucking Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and I gotta be honest, that's the most brain-numbing. Fucking, like,
Dora the Explorer was mine. Same concept.
I mean, that's different though.
At least we learned a little bit of Spanish.
No, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is like brain fluid, like
Yeah.
dystopian. It's
Disney
so-
kids are in shambles, dude.
Here we go with the
That's what I'm
dystopian
saying.
we're being.
No, it actually is, though. It
Yup,
actually
here we
is.
go.
Here we go. Here we go, folks.
You know what was gas was Scooby Doo as well.
I don't really like Scooby Doo.
Scooby Doo was good. I like Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
what
I didn't
was
really
lit
like
about
Scooby Doo
Scooby-Doo?
either.
You kind of knew what was going to happen because the way the animation worked is the item that was going to be on screen that was going to be interacted with was much clearer than everything else. So you could do hard reads while you were watching.
That's how he learned how
was-
to read the situation.
I mean, I'm sure
Pretty
Baby
hard reading.
Shark is also pretty degenerate, but I don't know.
That's like current 6-year-olds. Yeah, it's like current it's like children are watching Baby Shark.
Correct.
I really didn't
Um,
watch a ton of TV back in the day, but I watched Power Rangers because my neighbor who had the
And it
N64
gave me
would always
children
watch
shows,
that.
yeah.
You guys
I
watch
liked
Barney?
Power Rangers. I wasn't a Power.
No,
I
I
was a
loved
Barney
Barney
dude.
when I was young.
Unfortunately, I hate to admit this live, but I was a Barney kid.
You have
It's
big
okay,
Barney kid
dude.
energy.
Do not
have
let your kid
huge
become a Barney kid. Yeah, do not let your kid. You get me if you let your kid become a Barney kid. So
Dude.
do not allow that.
I was a
I-
Barney
I
kid,
am
it's fine.
ashamed.
I remember the
Ah.
day
No, that's
I
not.
Did you watch
watched
Sesame
Barney
Street
for the last
Act?
time.
I watched Sesame Street. I did. I did watch Sesame Street.
Do you think Bert and Ernie are gay?
Absolutely. Why would they not be?
Thank
They're
you.
in your chat right now. Zachary and Gustaface have huge Bert and Ernie energy. I'm not gonna
True,
name
dude.
names.
Is
I
that
remember
They're
watching-
isn't it
friends.
just Ghostface?
Huge
Why do you
Bert.
call him Goose Face?
His name is Gustaface. dude. Come on.
What
No,
the
What kind of uncultured swine? pronounces it like
what the
Gustaface?
fuck?
His name is Gustaface.
Just
That's
read
what
the
the
name. It
TTS
says,
When a TTS tries to pronounce that, it goes Gustaface. Cheers. So that's why we've all adopted the. That's the origin story of that, I believe. And also, Captain Arts says it that way. Captain Arts says it Gustaface.
a little
I
Portuguese
don't even think Peppa Pig is worse than
pierogi.
Clubhouse.
Pierogi is delicious.
Really? The Clubhouse go hard, Cram.
Clubhouse is so fucking like infant mortality like type.
I
shit,
would
dude.
watch, unironically, I'd watch like 3 episodes of Clubhouse right now before I'd probably
Dude,
watch
I remember
Peppa Pig.
the last time I like actually watched Clubhouse was oh my god. I remember the day actually. I was watching Clubhouse and I was like, dude, I'm sick of this. And so I called Justin and we start doing this podcast.
What did Act just do? Did anyone just-
I was- I was reenacting the Blair Witch Project, which is also a great film from our youth.
That's a great movie. Yeah. That was like the scariest. That was some satanic shit. You were not allowed.
That
to
was
see
so
that if you were
scary. dude.
Catholic.
No, I remember watching it like right away because my friend was like, "Yo, I got a copy of the Blair Witch Project. Do you want to watch it?" We all watched it, and then we were like, "Yeah, we're tough and we're strong and powerful men. We'll just." And then we all were like terrified. We were so
Yeah,
scared.
it's actually horrifying when you're young. Yeah, that one was really scary.
I was also like, again, everything that predates the internet, we didn't have this concept of like nothing is actually scary because the real terror is like humankind. Like we learned that pretty quick after technology really took off. But like back then, it was like you didn't know that any of this shit was like it was like actually kind of scary to watch it. Like,
Yeah, you know what? You know what type
found
of shit was
footage
scary
type
for no
shit.
reason was like 13 Ghosts was scary for some
Yo,
reason.
13 Ghosts goes hard and was fucking terrifying. It was always on
It
at like
sucks
like,
now,
late
though.
night on like
The
Wa-
scariest
watch
shit
it
I've
now.
ever seen and
No,
have
it's
seen to this
bad now.
day
We
is
watched
fucking
it.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps was cool.
Goosebumps
Goosebumps.
has scarred me to the core.
I
Fucking
hate scary
episode
stuff. I'm a
He wakes
bitch.
up on a bunch of fucking worms, dude. From that
We
day
had,
on,
like-
decided
We had
to not
Are You
think
Afraid of the Dark?
Reading
Reading
ever again.
Rainbow. Yo, Are You Afraid of the Dark was so fucking good.
Reading Rainbow Hype.
So was Reading Rainbow.
And
Also
that's
on-
why they call him Cliffhanger, dude.
Hell yeah.
Let's go. I feel like
Tune in. Tune
what?
in next week to see if our heroes can convince Cram to stop saying dystopian.
He won't.
Very
He's
dystopian if
you
guys
know how
listen to
okay,
this.
so this is kind of how it works, dude. Fucking Cram is a huge Cyclops fan. But then we have this guy named
Can you blame
Venom.
him?
This guy named Venom, and Venom is like an even harder Cram fan. So like everything that Cyclops does eventually just becomes a scuffed version of Venom. like
It's so watered down.
it gets
like a
so
It's like a
Oh,
tele-
and
I have to-
Cyclops
and I
telephone.
hang out with all 3 generations of Sock. And honestly, like, I don't know Ack that well, but maybe Sock is just like looks up to Ack, and we're all just getting a fucking
No way.
just
Hell
a PG,
no.
like a G,
Hell no.
a G-rated wash down actuality or something.
What would
But
happen
no.
if
You're
Cyclops
not
starts
put that
simping for Venom and we just have a
Satanic shit
circle?
on Cyclops.
if
Sock and I are
Cyclops
just the
started
same person.
simping for
We just have a
Venom,
lot
then
of-
it would just be
A
sad.
lot of kinship.
We would all like elevate intellectually.
Peers. peers,
Yes, yeah, equal parties.
esteemed partners in crime. We're Bert and Ernie. Let's
Thank
be
you,
honest.
thank you, Ghost.
Thank you, Goose Fache.
So this guy, dude. Oh God, we're just. At least he used dystopian correctly. At the very least.
This is once again, like I said last time, this is literally an evolution of a Pokemon. Like if you go from top left, right, across, it's literally the four.
Why am I involved? I don't want to be involved.
Evolution.
You're one of the starter Pokemon that you can.
Oh
You're the
no,
Froakie.
I'm the
If you
Froakie.
choose Just Rust, eventually he
Hey,
evolves into
speaking of
Cram.
Pokemon, Sock, everyone's bitching at you for not joining
Shut
yet.
the fuck up,
Dude, have you seen
no
the have you
way.
seen the Pixelmon
Nobody
chat in my
cares.
Discord? Everyone's like, when's Soclops
Nobody
gonna
cares.
join? When's Soclops gonna join?
It's because he's the cool guy. They
Do you know
want the
what's
cool
hella
guy.
funny?
Yeah.
A lot of people like went under your team and now they have to jump ship because they can't claim their stuff and people are just stealing from them because they have no leader to like to unite their flag on.
That's beautiful. I'm big into abandonment. Yeah, I have way
good in the
I just have like, so much going for me right now. It's tough for me to make my rounds back to the Minecraft server, dude. I've got, 4 average viewers on Twitch. I've got, bitches left and right. So
For
it's
those-
tough, man. It's
For
tough.
those interested in joining Pixelmon, I swear to God, it's pretty fun. I heard a really good player won last week's tournament.
Shut
I'm
up.
just saying, no ego,
I
but
wonder who it was.
I know ego, no ego, couldn't be me.
Couldn't be him.
But I just obliterated the competition. Right, Cram? Cram,
he's
what?
humble.
Can I explain, or can you explain where you were, Cram? What happened? You were
I-
literally in the call 3 minutes before it started.
I got sick.
You got nervous,
No, I literally threw up.
and then you just left for the rest of the night. You just
I felt
left.
sick. I just went to sleep.
That is. You could have said something. Anyway, I'm sorry. This is taking up podcast time. I apologize.
Let's move on with our lives. So
All
close
right.
were you bullied in high school?
No. We're saving that for next one. We're saving that for
Find
next
out
one.
next week. 2
No.
weeks from now.
Wait,
On
yes.
the next episode
2
of
weeks,
Dragon
You were
two
Balls
bullying.
weeks,
Can we
2 weeks,
please
2 weeks.
enact your bullying on
The
stream?
next episode of Pug or Dog.
True. Actually, I do want to touch back on cell phones. What was the first cell phone you guys ever had? For
Save
me,
it for next week. Save it for next week, buddy. Save it for the next
you
one.
think that we gotta finish the say? We didn't even finish the first section. We gotta finish
Oh, you know-
something.
Perfect. Abandonment.
Excuse me. 1 hour ago, I was trying to keep us on track and sticking to the
Hey.
and I was
Ooh.
rudely belittled for that by the host of the show.
That's
So I don't want to
true.
hear this horse shit to finish the
Hey.
show.
Hey,
What-
let's watch our
hey,
mouths, though. Let's-
if
let
there's
us
one
watch our
thing-
mouths, though.
If there's one thing I've learned
language clean.
from Cyclops through Cram, through Venom, through whoever else follows Venom, it's been that I can stall and stretch out content as long as possible. What the fuck? Sock? What is happening? What is this podcast? I get actuality to leave somehow. And Cyclops just turns into a creature. Like, what is this? What is this?
Past the witching hour, dude. You've kept him too long. Now we see his true form.
This is why you don't feed the Furbies.
Wait.
Okay,
It's,
I
it's
guess.
actually kind of scary. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm kind of scared for my life.
What the fuck is happening? Anyway, so yes, chat. We will be back in 2 weeks. We're gonna touch base. We're gonna do part 2. We're gonna talk about cell phones, I guess, since we're saving it for the next episode. We're gonna talk about school, i.e., bullying, PC language. I guess we did touch on that a little bit. We kind of like made our way through there. We're gonna talk about memories, and then we're gonna talk about comparing music, fashion, and what we dislike about Cram's generation the most. Yeah, it seems like there's been a hostile walkout. I don't know. I don't know what's
The
happening
cameras
exactly.
are off. They're off.
They're not off. They're just covered because Cyclops is gray. So I think I don't know. I don't know what happened, but oh god. Well, I guess it's just me. Thank you guys for watching. I guess this will be the first time I do an outro alone on the podcast. Now this is dystopian. That's such clown behavior. Anyway, guys, please stick around for part 2. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. They might not respond, but even though I bullied Ak into not following the outline too hard, I actually thought the fact that we kind of just like were flowing conversations after conversations, and just like different topics got brought up into different topics. I thought it flowed really well. I thought not being so rigid and structured was actually good for the podcast. So hopefully you stick around for episode 2, 2 weeks from now, same time, Tuesday night. That'll be the 31st. And we're going to have to do that at 7 o'clock. So if I'll see you guys all there. Bye-bye.